Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bob. Happy birthday to you.
The audio part of the video that you just saw was made ridiculously simple to create with new updates to Ace Studio. It's a software we have covered before. If you want to go back and check out our earlier reviews of it, there's a link right there, I'll bet you. Today I'm going to review the basic functionality of what Ace Studio is all about, and then I'm going to show you these cool updates and how you can use them to save all kinds of time in your workflow and get the creative juices flowing. Not the least of which is the fairly recent ability for you to add your own custom voice at no charge. Used to cost something, doesn't anymore. We're going to go through the whole process together. So what does Ace Studio do? It allows you to create a truly infinite stable of singers for your music project where you don't have a real person and you don't necessarily need one. And it allows you to do that in several ways. For example, you can take an existing vocal track and convert it to another singer. And there's several ways to do this. You can just import an isolated vocal track that you've removed from the main recording using a vocal stem remover, but you're going to find out that's not necessary anymore, or that you just recorded in an isolated fashion in a recording studio somewhere. So I can just drag this audio track of an isolated singer that sounds like this.
I may be isolated, but it doesn't mean I'm useless.
And then I can click this button here, Vocal to MIDI and Lyrics. Just go with the default values, assuming that the language here is English, which it is. Click Convert, and in just a few seconds, it converts that audio into editable MIDI-like data, including the vocals. And you can assign any of a number of vocalists to that track and even blend them together to create a completely unique singer. Now you'll see that it has transcribed the lyrics. I may be isolated, but then it says substitutions mean I humorless, which means that the translation didn't go very well there. But let's assign a voice to this. We'll go with David by just clicking on David and dragging and dropping him here. The playback of the original audio has been automatically deactivated for the moment so we can hear just the AI version of it.
I may be isolated, but it doesn't mean I'm useless.
So it actually sounds correct, but these are not the correct lyrics, and I can change them in a couple of ways. New to this update is the ability to see all the lyrics represented in a particular section in one place. Previously, I'd have to go into each note and edit the lyrics, which sometimes I still have to do. But in this case, I'm just going to type, but it doesn't mean I'm useless, and see how that lines up.
But it doesn't mean I'm useless.
Great. Now we can adjust the volume on that track to make it a little bit louder. One of the things we can easily do immediately to flesh that out a little bit is to create vocal doubles for this track. We just choose that option by right mouse clicking on the track and choosing it from the menu, going with the defaults, and in just a few seconds, now we have this.
I may be isolated, but it doesn't mean I'm useless.
We got a little crazy modulation here, which makes some of those notes sound a little strange. You can see there's a major dip here in the pitch curve, which needs to sort of be regulated a little bit. We can do that by clicking on the draw pitch tool and just sort of redrawing this.
Be isolated.
And it just smooths things out a little bit. I'm not going to get too deep into that detail. You can refer to the earlier video for more detailed operation of all of this. I really want to focus on the updates, but either wanted to remind you or introduce you to the basic functionality of the app. So we can duplicate, add tracks all day long. We can change out the singers by dragging and dropping. If we click the track control panel, we can actually mix certain characteristics of singers together to create a completely unique singer by just choosing them and adjusting these parameters and then listening to how it affects the pitch. Again, I go more into that in a different video. Remember how I said you didn't have to worry about isolating the vocal stem anymore? That's because with the latest update, Ace has included the ability to separate stems and isolate the vocal, thus being able to convert it by just dragging on your file with all the instrumentation playing like this.
You're tuned into Bob Doyle Media.
All right, all I have to do is click on Split into Stems. I'm going to keep it at vocal, drums, bass, and others. Click on Split. Give it a few seconds. Now you've got all the audio separated, vocals, drums, bass, others. Let's solo this vocal track and listen real quick.
You're tuned into Bob Doyle Media.
So now, if I want to convert this into editable data so that I can change out the voice or lyrics completely, I just click on Vocal to MIDI and Lyrics, click on Convert, and now I've got that editable data right here. And I can drag on a vocal, I can create a new one by blending, and see what this sounds like.
You're tuned into Bob Doyle Media.
So that's the AI voice.
He's an AI encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia? What is she implying? Having your vocals in this editable format makes things like creating harmony super easy. So let's just take this track and duplicate it. Now we have essentially the exact same thing on 2 tracks.
Tune into.
But now if I wanted to create harmonies, I can just click on the track I want to use as the harmony track and click down here, and now I can move these notes around to create the harmonies. If I click it, I hear the original note, but I can move it up to the note I want for the harmony. I'm going to hold the shift key so that it doesn't shift at all to the right or the left, and then just drag it up. And do that with all the ones I want to harmonize.
You're tuned into Bobtorial Media.
Needs work, but you get it. Another way to get started with this is that you can just record directly into the app by singing. This is an example of how you can sing into a studio. Put a little jazz on that just so you can see what I did with it. So now this track is just like we imported it. I'm going to click on Vocal to MIDI and Lyrics, click on Convert, let it do its thing. Let's listen to how that converted this into AI.
This is an example of how you can sing into a studio.
Let's choose a different voice. Give this a little bit better shot.
This is an example of how you can sing into a studio.
So you'll see that it actually followed all that pitch fluctuation that I did. So that's pretty great. And all of that is editable with these tools up here. Finally, another way to bring some music in here to work with is to import a MIDI file. I can just go under File, Import MIDI, choose a MIDI file. In this case, it's a Bach fugue. It's asking me if I want to apply the tempo and signature from the importing MIDI file. Yes, I do. That'll make my life a little bit easier. When I import all this, remember this is a Bach fugue, so there's lots of notes going on here. And we take a look at what we've done. It's defaulted all of the notes to the syllable that basically says da. So if I play this, all of the singing is going to say da. I'm going to actually isolate a piece of this where there are several voices going on. I'm just going to go to this part in the track, right mouse click and click split. Same down here, split, same down here, split. Delete all these, bring these over, and this is what we've got. So if I wanted to, I could go in here and put words to all of those syllables, but that's a lot of notes to do just for a silly demonstration. We're going to show a much more practical application of that in just a moment as we get into templates. What is a template? Well, in this case, it's a pre-made set of these tracks where the notes are already in place, the harmonies are already done. It's just up to you to change the voices and the lyrics as you see fit. And that's exactly what I did at the beginning of this video with Happy Birthday. So let's start a new project up here, and let's just click on Templates. You'll see I have 2 already loaded here in ACE, but we're going to click on Browse Templates, and you'll see that as I record this, we really only have 3 to work with. So there's Happy Birthday, which you heard at the beginning, and then there's this Wellerman song, which you may have heard on social media.
Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar, brandy, and rum.
So there's a full version and a shorter version. And this is all part of the new community section, where in addition to templates, you can also download community-made samples, which I'll show you, as well as, and this is the exciting part, community-made voices, and you can contribute yours as well. So your library of potential voices just got a whole lot bigger. Let's go back to templates. I have not yet collected this full version, so I just simply click on Collect and click Refresh in ACE Studio. This will pop up. I guess I could say always allow ACE Studio to do that, so I won't see this anymore. And it brings it right into ACE Studio. Clicking the arrow here will actually download it, and then it's ready just to drag onto the timeline. Boom, and it's done. You have some voices filled in, but again, you can change any of these out, and you'll see that the lyrics have already been added too. But that means that you could go in and change the lyrics to whatever you wanted in the first place. So for example, at the beginning with Happy Birthday, I changed it to my name. So let's start with the Happy Birthday thing. It's short and simple and easy to demonstrate. We just drag it onto the line and we have all the tracks laid out with voices pre-chosen. But of course, we can choose any of the voices from our voices section here, or anything that we create if we blend them a little bit, or anything now that we download from the community. Let's listen to what it gives us right here out of the gate.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alex. Happy birthday to you.
So now if I just want to customize that for myself or my friends, I just go to that place in the lyrics where here it says Alex, and instead I'll just double click, type Bob, and since this one syllable is going to travel over 2 notes, on that second note I'm going to just type a minus sign, and that'll tell it to go Bob. And I would just pop down on each of these tracks, changing Alex to Bob and putting that minus sign. And now when I play it back, it says my name.
Happy birthday, dear Bob.
So it captured dynamics, it captured all sorts of good stuff there, and a lot of fun because, remember, you don't just have to change the name, you can change whatever you want to, and just get creative with these different lyrics. So why don't we change out some of these voices and we'll browse some of these public ones. So you just click the play button to take a listen.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Now I've already got that one downloaded.
Baby, I love you like I love country music.
All right, let's collect Adrian and collect Refresh in A Studio, and he will appear here. And then let's drag him up here. We may need to change the octave or whatever, but let's see how he sounds as the lead.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
His voice actually sounds pretty good high. Let's duplicate that track and take the second track down a whole octave. I'm just going to select it all with Control A, and then I'm going to hold the Shift key and the down arrow, and that'll pop that down. And let's maybe move that lower octave down a little to the left. We'll pan that. We'll pan the lead to the right just for no good reason, and we'll see what that sounds like.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
We can change out all these voices till our heart's content. And if you want to create a template for yourself, why, you can do that too. For example, in our Bach piece that we imported, if I just wanted to make this section here a template, let's say I'd gone in and painstakingly replaced all those little da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da with words, and it was really clever, and it was going to be a viral sensation, making I don't know how many countless millions happy with delight. But who's got the time, right? But let's say I just want this little section to end here. I'm going to, again, isolate it by just splitting all of these tracks out, deleting what I don't need, and then I'll have this as a template. So if I want to save that out, I just go to File and say Export File for Creative Library, Export Project as Song Template, give it a name like Bach Thing, and boom, I've got my very own template. Let's clear all this out. I'll show you samples real quick. If we click on the samples icon over here, we can click on Browse All Samples. And again, these are little snippets that you can just drag and drop into your timeline and then edit. You can preview them by clicking the play button.
Boogie. All right.
Okay.
Winds on the plains, boots in stride.
24/7 till we get to heaven. 24/7 till we get to heaven.
Ominous.
Hey, diamonds on neck. I'ma pull up on a brand new whack. I'ma do something real.
Hey Bob, there's music on that. What happens there? Let's find out. These samples can absolutely contain instrumental tracks as well, not just the MIDI data. So if I click on Refresh in ACE, we'll click on the little arrow to download what we just chose, and then we can just drag it on the timeline. So now we have a vocal part just by itself.
Diamonds on neck. I'ma pull up on a brand new whack.
And just the drums. One of the biggest features, which actually was updated in the software a while back, is your ability to add a custom voice to this library for free. It used to be an extra cost if you wanted to create a custom model of yourself or somebody you knew, but now a professional custom model slot is available to you, which means that your voice or whomever's voice can appear in this list and be mixed and matched with all of these to create unique voices. So how do we do that process? If we click on Customize Now, you're going to be brought to a web page with further instructions, and you're going to want to read this custom voice guide so that you understand exactly what you should upload depending on the results you want to get. If you are creating a voice for singing, which is what this program is about, ideally you're going to want to provide a sample of yourself singing to the best of your ability so that all of the nuances associated with singing, which are distinctly different from just your normal speaking voice, will be picked up and put into the model. So it will actually sound like you singing when you sing. In my case, I'm not really a singer and I don't sing that much, and I certainly don't have 30 to 100 minutes of singing vocal samples around to create this model. But I do have plenty of vocal samples, having been in voiceover for 40 plus years. So I'm going to create a model, but I'm going to create it with my speaking voice rather than my singing voice. And then I'll evaluate those results. But in my real life, I really won't have a use case for this because I'm not a singer. No one's going to need my singing voice to replace anything else in there. So for this example, I'll show you the mechanics of uploading your audio sample, and then we'll listen together to how it turned out. So I'm going to click on Customize New Voice. I'm going to name it Bob Doyle Speaking. It will automatically be trained in English, Chinese, and Japanese. Of course, I agree to all the usage guidelines, and so should you. I'll go ahead and upload an avatar. Click Continue, and here we go. It's acceptable to upload 10 minutes, so I could try 10 minutes of singing. 30 minutes is recommended. An hour would be better, and I've got that, baby. So you can send up to 100 files, totaling 4 gigs in size. No one file can be bigger than 200 megs, and the duration of the files can be no longer than 10 minutes apiece. In this case, I'm going to use samples that I did for an audiobook because that's a lot of material. I'm going to upload 60 minutes. Right now, I've got selected about 55 minutes worth of content. I think that will be fine, so I'm just going to drag all of these WAV files. It's asking me if I want to apply de-harmony or de-reverb. Totally unnecessary because these are just spoken files already in a studio with no reverb or echo or any kind of room noise. So it shows now that I have uploaded 7 out of 100 possible files in English, so yes, that's correct. Now I just click Next. It gives me one more chance to back out or change something, and it estimates it's going to take about 110 minutes for the training. So just a couple of hours after I click Start Training, which is right now. So we'll let that happen, and then we'll pop back in and give this sucker a test. Okay, it's been a couple of hours now, and my model is done. When it's done, it appears here on this Custom Models page, and what you click on, Manage. And it says there are 5 versions based on the same data set, from rare to well done. Each of them may have some differences in performance due to different training depth. Usually the bigger data set you have, the deeper training will fit. You can switch deployment from these versions to find the best, read the custom voice guide, etc. It's aimed to default to medium. If you click the blend voices option, you have the ability to take your raw model and then mix it with any of these others. Right now, let's just listen to what it sounds like by itself. This is, again, the medium version. I'm going to choose from the drop-down a male sample to give it the best shot of sounding like me, and let's just listen.
I want you to focus more on me, 'cause you got me jumping off the deep. You should know, baby.
Okay, that's me. You may not agree, but I do. All right, I just want to have fun. Listen to that.
I don't want to fall in love. Yeah. I just want to have some fun. Yeah.
Well, I normally don't sing that high, so it sounds weird to me to hear it, and it's not perfect for sure, and that's just one of them. Let's go back and maybe try this well done version and see what we get. Click on Deploy. Oh, and it shows up in the interface. Let's load this short Wellerman template and assign my voice to it, just all the way down the board. And let's see what that sounds like.
There once was a sheep that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The wind blew up her bow, did it down and blow out my bully boys low. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when that opening is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's go back and choose the medium well and see if we can tell any difference. Going to click on Deploy. Pops right on over here. I assume, since a new one didn't appear, that it just automatically replaced this one. Let's see if we can tell any difference.
There once was a sheep that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The wind blew up her bow, did it down and blow out my bully boys low.
So would people say, hey, that sounds like Bob Doyle? I don't know. Let's go all the way down to rare and try that. Let's see what difference that makes.
There once was a sheep that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T.
It's really hard for me to tell a difference. Makes me wonder if I'm actually doing this right. Maybe if we just isolate it here in this sample area, we can tell better. So let's go back to blend voices where we won't blend voices. Let's choose this sample here that says afraid.
What are you afraid of? Oh, baby, tell me. You don't have to be cautious. Love is all we need.
That's pretty weird to hear the traces of being there. That was the rare. Let's go to the medium well one, and we'll play that same sample.
What are you afraid of? Oh, baby, tell me. You don't have to be cautious. Love is all we need.
What do you think? Let's go back, deploy this medium one, which was their default. This is going to make sure it shows up here. Just for good measure, I'm going to drag these back on top just to make sure I am replacing them. And let's listen one more time.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T.
Just for grins, let's export that whole thing as just one audio piece.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The wind blew up her bow, did down and blow out my bully boys low. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when that opening is done, we'll take our leave and go.
I think those are some really great fun new updates to Ace. They had a lot of flexibility, and to be able to put your own voice or the voice of somebody else in there is a pretty cool feature. And given that that was a speech sample that I gave, I'm pretty impressed with the result. I definitely hear myself in there, and in the context that I would actually use that sample, I think it does a fine job. At the very least, I got a new vocal sample to add to my repertoire. If these are the types of tools and techniques you like to learn more about, well, why not subscribe to this channel? Because after all, this is what we discuss all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you. And I